Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So we have the 5 new Phantimals coming in season 6. We're on the Pioneer server, so keep in mind the content is subject to change. But currently they are pretty interesting Phantimals. So we're gonna go break them down probably just from this level 60 angle, which is the phase 1 angle, because the further on skills are not going to be important until we move into phase 2 and phase 3, right? So we only have to focus on up to level 60, which are the first 3 skills of these Phantimals. So Sigmund is going to be for the Lightbearer faction. He has 0 initial energy, and his ultimate will unleash a torrent of soul energy, dealing 500% attack damage to all enemies in battle, which is a pretty high multiplier. And for each temporary stat buff gained from a different ally during battle, Sigmund permanently increases the skill's damage by 20%, up to 60%. And this is a permanent increase, up to a 60% bonus damage dealt, and increases the energy torrent damage to 650%. And you're going to get up to 60% damage amp on top of that. And the passive, Sigmund has 50% damage reduction, which is big. Whenever he receives a temporary stat buff from a different ally during battle, he gains 5% extra damage reduction. Extra damage reduction gained this way cannot exceed 15%. So basically, the Lightbearer strategy is to make Sigmund your actual damage dealer threat with high damage reduction up to 65%, but beginning with 50%, and also stacking up to higher damage output. If you have temporary buffers on the team, you should fully stack this to 60% damage amp before he even gets one ultimate off. And this is going to hit hard. It is going to hit really hard, but like it is a weird sort of way a Phantimal is designed, being maybe the carry himself rather than a utility for the team. Now Iceland Havoc, this is going to be his skill 2. This is a 14-second cooldown, which is fairly long. Sigmund unleashes the power of Frost, knocking enemies within 2 tiles into the air and dealing 480% damage. At the same time, Sigmund gains 30% physical and magical defense for 14 seconds, and this goes up to 60% physical and magical defense for 14 seconds. So this Sigmund may be a difficult hero to deal with, but like right now is seeming mainly for PvP, because for AFK stages, obviously we know this damage is not going to be enough. But for dueling and PvP, if you have temporary buffers on the team, he could be a secondary damage threat, basically, on the team with high defenses, knock up as well, crowd control, 0-second cooldown. I like the direction they're going with Sigmund. He seems like kind of a beast, but like probably again only for PvP. And then Phantimal Focus increases health by everyone. Phantimal will have this, increases health by 16%, physical and magical defense by 16%, and attack by 8%. So he's gonna be a luxury Phantimal, focusing on PvP. He's not going to be the first Phantimal you upgrade, no question about that, because for AFK stages he just doesn't offer enough utility. So let's move on to Bloom Mother. So Bloom Mother is Blooming Rage. This has a 0 initial energy, and passive Bloom Mother doesn't move, and she remains steadfast for the entire battle, so she cannot be crowd controlled. That is interesting. Active Bloom Mother flaps wings to unleash an air blast, knocking all enemies back by 3 tiles for knockback, and dealing damage, 200% damage before immobilizing them for 2 seconds. So it's a knockback plus immobilization. That is useful crowd control. So already for AFK stages, I'm liking her. I'm thinking that's a pretty decent utility, and increases impact damage to 240% attack. Bloom Mother fires 10 magic projectiles to evenly attack all enemies. Each projectile deals 50% damage. For each flower activated, she fires 5 extra magic projectiles, up to basically 15. Evenly attacking enemies. But I think it's just most important that you are hitting every enemy on the enemy team so that you can knock them back and immobilize them, because I'm seeing this more as a utility hero. The damage isn't going to be anything that impressive. It's just a utility role for AFK stages. Next one is Flower Jungles. This is going to be a 15-second cooldown, 0 initial cooldown. Passive Bloom Mother gains 50 verdants per second, so there's a new sort of terminology. Upon receiving a shield or healing equal to 100% of her initial attack, she gains 15 extra verdants. For every 1,000 verdants gained, Bloom Mother activates 1 flower up to 3 flowers. So that is a lot of verdants that you have to gain, right? You gain it per second, 50, and then also when you have enough healing or shielding. So like if you have a lot of shielders on the team, maybe even Solis, who's like a massive healer, you can stack the verdants quickly, and that's going to activate 1 flower, up to 3 flowers. When the 3rd flower activates, Bloom Mother changes form and fully spreads its wings, gaining 40% attack and 100% maximum health. But her own attack is not really going to be helpful because their damage, we're not using her for her damage, right? But the health maybe is helpful so that she is going to survive more easily. And each activated flower fires a magic projectile at the enemy, okay, with the most cumulative damage dealt. Prioritizing enemies not already targeted. Each projectile deals damage and stuns the target for 3 seconds. So there you see the value. So if you stack up her flowers quickly, whether you have massive healing from like Solis, who seems to be like a massive healer, as long as she can live for long enough, then you will be able to get more crowd control opportunities with your flowers dealing those projectiles with stun and up to 4-second stun per enemy target. So really it is kind of similar to Snow Stomper in that lockdown of enemies, and will synergize with other healers or shielders on your team, and Solis is one of them. However, Valara also is going to be one. Valara does have healing, she does have shielding, but not to the same extent as a hero like Solis, right? But either way, really interesting skill. And for AFK stages, because Wilders are so dominant and strong, you're probably going to use Bloom Mother as a Wilder hero, like as a Wilder Phantimal, and probably for players who are more free to play, who don't have a lot of Hypogean Celestials built up, probably she's going to be your go-to for AFK stages, and probably going to be the first Phantimal you level up to 60. And this is just the bonus stats that we saw: increase health, defenses, and attack during battle. Okay, so I think she's going to be looking like the free-to-play AFK stage pushing Phantimal for players who do not have Hypogean Celestials, because usually with players with Hypogean Celestials, it's just going to be the Hypogean Celestial Phantimal. So Alpha Bear is really interesting. Now, I'm not thinking him for AFK stages, obviously. However, he has 0 initial energy, but his level 3 passive Alpha Bear has 1000 initial energy. So rather than Snow Stomper, like in the Currency Season 5, being the hero which immediately casts ultimate, Alpha Bear is going to be the hero or Phantimal which immediately casts ultimate. And so for PvP, there's uses of that, like taking an enemy Lily May interruption. It will have to be with Alpha Bear. So 1000 initial energy, and the skill deals 20% more damage the first time it's cast. So what does the skill do? The passive is Alpha Bear will remain steadfast, which is also useful, just like the Bloom Mother. Active Alpha Bear slams the ground, dealing 150% damage, which isn't big, but knocking them into the air and reducing their physical and magical defenses by 35% for 8 seconds. So it's a defense shred, it is a knock-up, we don't know how long this duration is, and it's going to immediately activate, trigger into the battle when you have him level up enough. But the thing is, Maulers for AFK stages are not good enough. I mean, there could be some niche teams with them, but really largely it is going to be Wilders. So like, even though this is kind of interesting, again, it seems PvP angle for me, taking an enemy Lily May interruption, and so probably not going to be one of your first priorities to upgrade. So Sting Gala is going to be a skill 2, 15-second cooldown. Initial cooldown of 6, okay. Initial cooldown of 6, that's important because you can't cast it immediately. Alpha Bear deals 400% damage, which is pretty big to an enemy, coating them in honey, reducing their vitality by 40. Reducing the healing basically and shielding onto them. That enemy is also subject to continuous swarm attacks, taking 80% attack true damage every 2 seconds. But I don't think that's enough. This skill prioritizes the weakest enemy that hasn't yet been coated in honey. So overall, pretty interesting, but again, I'm thinking it's the PvP angle, right? Like, you know, some bonus damage dealt, vitality, shred, immediate ultimate to take a Lily May interruption, and then his Phantimal focus. Now, the problem is, though, Maulers are just lackluster as a whole faction, especially for PvP. Maybe we could make one Mauler team and like as a free-to-play or even mid-spender option, maybe one Mauler team will be good now because you can at least take an enemy Lily May interruption for PvP, but probably you're not gonna, like, this is not strong enough of a Phantom effect to run like 2 Mauler teams or anything. You'll probably just run one of your best Maulers in a team and then call it a day for that, but probably it is PvP, obviously, taking a Lily May interruption. Okay, so we have the Shadowed Charon, which is the Graveborn Phantimal. Infernal Return is 0 pre-fill energy, 0 second initial cooldown. So passive Shadowed Charon doesn't move and remains... So he's also steadfast. So the only hero who's not steadfast is the Sigmund, right? But Sigmund is your damage carry. So active Shadow Charon summons 15 Hellfire Bolts to evenly attack all enemies, dealing 70% damage per bolt. The bolt damage increases 100% against enemies with stat debuffs. So it's just damage. And like, just damage from Phantimal. I'm a little bit interested in Sigmund because he can stack up, like, you know, the damage amplification, damage reduction. But like, so far, I'm not really liking this Graveborn Phantimal. Like, just some bonus damage. We need to see some utility, right? Increases damage per Hellfire Bolt to 90%, the damage dealt. With stat buffs to 150%, okay. Passive Shadow Charon intensifies all enemies. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. And this is a PvP, of course, Phantimal. Increasing the enemy stat debuffs by 25%. That is huge. So for example, I think what this means is like, let's say you have a 30% attack debuff on the enemies. Rather than being 30%, it's going to be 37.5%, like a 25% amplified debuff value onto the enemies. That is strong. And then also 150% of 15 bolts when they're debuffed. So definitely you're going to want to use them in a PvP comp that you have a lot of debuffers. So this may be bringing Bonnie maybe back up to relevance. Like, Bonnie's still good, however she was falling off a bit, especially like, you know, Citrana being counted by Mihira and those dot comps not necessarily being the most effective, but this is going to bring it back again. Those debuffing comps, heavy debuffs onto the enemies, going to get a lot of value from this Phantimal for PvP, but it is a PvP focus, so again, not going to be one of your first priorities to be leveling up. Shadow Agony is going to be 10-second cooldown and 0 initial cooldown. Shadow Charon tags an enemy with Torrent meant to mark, reducing their attack by 20%. This skill only targets enemies without a torment mark. That's also really interesting. So like, not only is she going to amplify value of stat debuffs, or I don't know if it's she or he, but Shadow Charon is also going to itself basically debuff the enemy's attack by 20%, and it can eventually apply to all of them, and it's a 10-second cooldown, 0 initial cooldown. Pretty valuable. And like the 20%, probably this is also going to get the stat debuff amplification, so probably it's going to be up to 25%, right? With a, yeah. So like, I think I actually like Shadow Charon, especially in debuffing dotting comps made with Igor. I think it could be really interesting, so I like it for PvP. Overall, I'm, yeah, fan of it, Phantimal focus, same as always. Now, we have the pay-to-win Phantimal Skyclops, and of course, I'm expecting great things from him, because whenever it comes to the Celestial Hypogean Phantimal, let's face it, is usually always the most overpowered, and I already know in AFK stage pushing, if you have Hypogean Celestial Heroes built, whether it be Baelran, Saida, Mihira, like those three, then it is time for you to fully invest into your Skyclops. The ultimate wing duality, this is going to be 700 initial energy, so going to be casting soon. Skyclops summons one ring of light and one ring of darkness, each inheriting 40% of Skyclops attack and 90% of his health. So it's basically like a summon, right? The Wings of Light's normal attacks heal the weakest ally for 150% attack health, while the Wings of Darkness, and this is normal attacks, deal 100% attack damage to enemies. So this is interesting because basically every normal attack of the Wing of Light is going to keep healing your team. And that's pretty valuable, especially like normal attack is probably going to be 1 per second or something. And 12 seconds after casting the skill. Okay, wait. This is all the active, right? This all seems to be the active, so he's not going to have these summons until he casts, but he has a 700 pre-fill energy. 12 seconds after casting the skill, Skyclops sacrifices Wings of Light and Wings of Darkness. I'm assuming if they're still alive. If they're already being killed, then not. But when either one of them is sacrificed, a massive energy blast erupts, causing all enemies to lose health. Oh, we have lose health damage, so for even Primal Lords in Phase 2 and Phase 3, probably this is going to be the meta. Lose health damage. 250% attack, lose health. When both of them are sacrificed, all enemies lose 600% health. 600% attack, multiply health, and receive the same amount of max health reduction as well. Like, obviously that's only for stages and for PvP, but like, it doesn't apply to bosses, but that is also strong. And then level 2, the Wings of Light and Wings of Darkness inherit 100% of Skyclops health, which is important because you need them to survive. And then level 3, each time Wings of Light or Wings of Darkness is sacrificed, all allies gain a shield equal to 50% of the sacrificed wings remaining health, plus 150% attack buff. So basically, not only are you going to hit the enemies really hard with lost health damage, especially if you are able to sacrifice both of them, you're also going to give a shield proportionate to the health status of the summons which were sacrificed, and also some bonus on top of that. So this is, and it's also going to reduce, actually have max HP reduction onto enemies in AFK stages and PvP. So this, of course, is very strong. This is a very strong effect already from the ultimate, and yeah, I mean, what were you expecting from a Celestial Hypogean Phantimal? Okay, Glaring Ray, 15-second cooldown, 2-second initial cooldown, which is not so long. You'll cast it pretty soon. Skyclops fires a beam that deals 260% damage to enemies hit. Allies recover 300% attack multiplier health who are hit by this, and it's gonna be it's like the full range of the map, right? Like, if you guys have seen Skyclops in Dream Realm, it's probably gonna hit all your allies and increase their attack. Increase their attack too. Increase their attack by 20% of Skyclops attack for 10 seconds. Increase attack bonus grind to allies to 30% of Skyclops. This is crazy. Like already, he's just on another level from all of the Phantimals. 30% attack buff to allies. Of course, it's up Skyclops' attack, but still, that's going to be pretty high. And then also recovering health by a pretty high amount. And this is lasting for 10-second buff. And then when he casts his ultimate, he has all this other massive HP loss, HP reduction. He has shielding at the end of it. He also has a healing from the Wings of Light, which is normal attacks. Overall, yeah, Skyclops is an absolute beast. Like, I mean, on another level. So if you have Celestial Hypogean Heroes built and you're going to run a comp for AFK stages, in Phantimal AFK stages with Celestial Hypogeans, definitely Skyclops will be the first priority to level up to 60. For AFK stages. However, after that, I definitely think it's Bloom Mother. Because Bloom Mother also is good, and for the free-to-play players out there going for a wild-oriented comp for AFK stages, it's going to be Bloom Mother, maxing out first. But for, like, you know, the pay-to-win players, it's going to be both, probably. And then when you're done with both of them, then you can decide what else to do. It will really depend on your PvP, right? Like, are you using more Graveborn teams, Mauler teams, Lightbearer teams? Like, Mauler is really interesting with the immediate instant ultimate, but, like, that's all the value I really see out of it. Other than that, I mean, it's like, just to take a Lily May interruption running a Mauler team, it's not really enough, right? So, like, you can just run a hero like Nero or Brian, they'll take the Lily May interruption themselves, and then you don't have to run 3 heroes of a kind of weak faction, right? So that's a problem. I think, yeah, so really, I mean, interesting Phantimals. Let me know your guys' thoughts about all of this. Like, obviously, Skyclops is seeming the strongest to me, but Bloom Mother also for AFK stages looking good, and Sigmund I'm really interested in. Honestly, for PvP, I'm really interested to see Sigmund comps. And really Perseus and Sigmund, they both are going to benefit from the same stuff, temporary stat buffs, which are going to be both of them. Sigmund and Perseus, they both benefit from the temporary stat buffs. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. That's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment. And you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.